a question that I've always had in my mind is going over Luke's new Jedi Order and how he rebuilt it, specifically in how many Jedi he had and what its growth and decay rate was over time. Now, a good friend of mine, Noah, who runs the YouTube channel Quality Autism, recently on his Discord listed out what he found to be every single Jedi that appeared or could have possibly been a member of Luke's new Jedi Order. So, using this list, I've decided to answer that question of how many Jedi were in Luke's order at any one time. Now, a couple of quick caveats here to my numbers. I am, for the purposes of this list, mapping it out, I'm going to start from the founding of Luke's Jedi Paraxium to the events of Crucible. So Jedi that were active but didn't join the Order or active or died before Luke started his Paraxium, which is about 11 ABY, which is the events of the Jedi Academy trilogy and I, Jedi, are not included in this. And I'm also cutting it off as Crucible because the gap between Crucible and Legacy is so varied, and there's and we don't really know when certain Jedi, like Kakruk, for example, came into the picture, that I'm just going to, for simplicity's sake, ignore this and just look at what we can confirm as Luke's Jedi Order. It will be a year-by-year breakdown, so I will not be getting into the weeds of which Jedi died in which months. And also, if a Jedi is alive and in the Order at any point in that year, they are counted towards that year's total. So, for example, if a Jedi was, like Gantoris, for example, was alive during the beginning of Luke's Jedi Paraxium, but of course he died in training that same year. So Gantoris is counted in 11 ABY, and then he is taken off the roster by 12 ABY, just as an example. And then Jedi that are still alive but have permanently left the Order are not counted after they have confirmed to have left. So examples of this are like Brachus, who was in the Order for the first 3 years of existence, but then left the Order and permanently became a Dark Jedi. People like Tahiri or Jason, when they left the Order, as soon as they are no longer in the Order, they have left. Tenel Ka is another one who left the Order at the events of Dark Nest, and even though she is still alive, obviously, all the way up until Crucible, she is not an official member of Luke's Academy, so she is not included after that point. I've also made a lot of judgment calls, as there is a lot that is not confirmed about this list. A lot of Jedi, for example, just don't get mentioned at some points, and a lot of Jedi, even that are, we can reasonably guess, are within the Order. There isn't a lot mentioned about when they joined or even when they left, especially when you're talking about tertiary sources like essential guides or like various hyperspace things. The example I put in here, which is the really big one, is that I have treated every Jedi in Fate of the Jedi that was last mentioned as being alive in Fate of the Jedi as still being alive in Crucible, which I have not done for the New Jedi Order, Phantom Era, or Legacy of the Force Jedi. My reasoning behind this is that the casualty rate for Luke's Order during the conflict with the Lost Tribe and later Abeloth is incredibly low. It's actually in the single digits, which is orders of magnitude lower than during the Second Galactic Civil War, the First Galactic Civil War, or New Jedi Order. And generally speaking, the Jedi that, as so few Jedi did actually die in many engagements, were had no casualties in them from Luke's Order. Any Jedi that did die they made sure to mention it, and that because Crucible is only a couple years after the start of Fate of the Jedi. I more or less reasoned that anyone that was still alive during their last mention in Fate of the Jedi is probably still alive during the events of Crucible. Crucible is also a smaller story, so again, not everyone is actually mentioned. Whereas Legacy of the Force and New Jedi Order, again, it's been some time, and those wars had a higher casualty rate, so it's within the realm of possibility that they are not alive, but you'll kind of see that later as I have two graphs. And if you think that on any of these I am incorrect, or I don't have anything of, or I am missing someone, or I included someone to, or you don't agree with my reasoning for including certain Jedi or not, please feel free to make your own list. I would very much like to see what you guys think about this and where your numbers come out. But this is just kind of a general list, just to get us some rough ballpark. And This is it. So this is Luke's New Jedi Order strength year by year. You'll notice that there are two graphs to this. The first, the orange one, is the confirmed. This is specifically taking the Jedi from when they are first mentioned to when they are last mentioned, as and assuming that when they are last mentioned, they are done. There's a lot of cases, like for example, Streen or Karina T, where they are last mentioned basically in The Essential Guide to the Force, which takes place in 40 ABY, and are not mentioned during any of the events of Fate of the Jedi or Crucible. And due to their age, it's possible that they're still alive, but we are not sure. So that's what the probable graph is. The probable is assuming all of the Jedi that are still alive during their last mention have made it all the way to Crucible. So this kind of gives us a kind of a range of the low and the high end for Luke's order strength, at least from the confirmed members. Now, obviously, Luke's actual Jedi Order canonically is higher than that. You can see at 25 ABY, when there's about 57-ish confirmed with another like 15-ish probable. Luke's order strength at that point during Dark Tide is mentioned to be 100. Also during Fate of the Jedi, it's mentioned to be 1,000. So Luke's actual Jedi strength is much higher than this, but this is just to kind of illustrate the named confirmed Jedi, how many they are, and what it looks like over time. You can kind of see, again, big peaks at the beginning of New Jedi Order and Fate of the Jedi, and then kind of drop-offs as those were conflicts with very high attrition rates. And then, of course, the Fate of the Jedi conflict had a significantly lower drop-off than the other two. But otherwise, there is, as you'd kind of expect, pretty steady growth. During the gap between New Jedi Order and the Dark Nest trilogy, it kind of stagnates because, of course, there's no stories in that time. So there is no one being added or removed from the roster. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think. And until next time, take care.